Hi everyone, my name is Thomas Kim. Today is October 20th, 2022. This is my 113th episode for C++ 17 2023 CUDA, SQL, OpenGL, OpenCL, DBB. This is my second episode for OpenGL context. I will create a number of videos about OpenGL context. I will discuss debugging technique, also using extensions in OpenGL. I'll be using OpenGL SuperBible 7th edition, Chapter 3, using extensions in OpenGL. So I assume you are reading OpenGL SuperBible 7th edition while watching my current video, Chapter 3, using extensions. I assume you are reading using extensions in OpenGL this part of the book while watching my current video. I will discuss debugging technique. When we create our program, we usually start with debugging build. Our application works correctly as we expect it to work. But we want release build at the end. That our program works correctly in debug build does not mean our application is correctly programmed. Even if it worked correctly in release build, our application can fail with some optimization enabled. If your program worked correctly in release build but failed in optimized release build, it is very likely you have not used C++ standard in your application. So, understanding C++ standard is super important if you want to succeed in C++ programming. I rarely rely on debuggers nor on third-party tools if not supported by the original developer. Not infrequently, your C++ compiler can fail too. However, if you stick to C++ standard, you can use your C++ code after 10 or more years later. I would highly recommend you to read C++ standard specification. The reason I do not rely on debuggers is that the generated code for debug build can be widely different from that of release build, not to mention optimized release build. I am not saying debuggers are useless, but I am saying that understanding your own code correctly is more important than rely on debuggers. I simply scoff at those people who are touting their debugger skill. In this episode, you will learn how to do debugging properly, correctly, accurately, effectively, without using debuggers. If interested, keep watching. Scroll down from my previous video, episode 112, OpenGL Context 1. Please double-click this link. I assume you have watched my previous video. Show more. Download current video source code. Click it. Show in folder. Unzip it. Rename 113. Copy. Paste it in your working directory. In this folder, double-click it. Now, in the Solution Explorer, right-click, Set as Startup Project. In this project, we will open sourcecode.cpp. Please understand that we created this source code in our previous episode, episode 112. If you haven't watched this video, please watch it. Now, save all. We selected this project. In this project, we can find two configurations. One is debug, another is release. Now, configuration manager. Here, select release. Then, select this button, new. We are creating new project configuration. Final, release. Copy setting from release. Create new solution configurations. Click yes. So we have debug, final release configuration. Now close it. We selected final release. Press Ctrl F5. So this will be our final release to the public. Now close it. Close it. Right click, Properties. Make sure you selected final release. C++ optimization. We will use maximum optimization. Favor for speed. In the linker, we disable debugging. This is final release. We don't need debugging info, so select no. Click apply. In the final release, we don't need console window, so we will select Windows. Click apply. Please understand that if you select release, we start console window. In the final release, we start with Windows. Also, in the release build, we generate debug info. In the final release, we don't generate debug info. Notice the difference between release and the final release. Now click OK. So we are in final release. Press Ctrl F5. Voila! We are using optimization. No console window. We haven't changed anything of our code. Now close it. In release build, we have console window. we can still do debugging. Now close it. If you don't want to generate in the release build, you can select no, but we still use console window because optimization can give different code generation. So we sometimes need to do debugging even in release build with optimization still selected. We still need to do debugging in release build. Now click OK. We selected release build. We are using optimization, but we can do still debugging using this console window. I haven't changed any code. If your program works correctly in release build, then you can finally select Final Release, Ctrl F5. Voila! This is your application that you should finally release to the public. Now close it. If you select Debug, you can have full debugging capability. I press Ctrl F5. We have full debugging capability like this. This is how I do debugging. In the debug build, don't press Ctrl F5. I don't need such built-in debugger. I don't need it. But still, I can tightly control, debug my program. I pressed Ctrl F5. This is ultimate debugging technique. The reason I don't use built-in debugger is that debug build, release build, final release build, C++ compiler generates different binary code. Even in release build, we still need to do debugging. Okay, we still need to do debugging. So I seldom use F5. I seldom use F5. Instead, I tightly control my code generation. Instead, I use Ctrl F5. Now close it. I hope you understand. The binary code generated for debug, build, release, build, final release, build are all different from each other. I say the binary codes generated for debug build, release build, final build are all different from each other. How can you rely on built-in debugger such as press F5? How can you rely on such debugger if the code generated is all different? Instead, rely on your correct programming practice. I assume you are reading along OpenGL SuperBible 7th edition while watching my current video, especially Part 1, Chapter 3, using extensions in OpenGL. We will open shader utility.h. We will also open shader utility.cpp. Also cube vertex. I will auto hide shader utility.h. I will arrange like this. Shader utility.cpp. Control End. In this section, std set std string get extensions. No, it should be function prototype. I will fix my code like this. Copy. In this file, shader utility.cpp, control End. Here, paste gl int count equals to 0. gl get integer b. gl num extensions. We provide count. std set std string extensions for gl int n equal to 0 and less than count plus n. I will scroll up extensions. In place here, we will cast constant character pointer. gl get string I. We pass gl extensions, then n. I will make it bigger. I need one more parenthesis. Return extensions. Please understand that this function is defined in the namespace glutil. So we are in namespace glutil. So this is end of namespace glutil. Now save all. In the source.cpp, scroll down, you can find startup. Here, auto extensions, gl util get extensions. We can declare talkPlayFun as stream debug. Debugger count of extensions. Extensions size. We can say talkPlayFun flush. Debugger extensions talkPlayFun enter. Now press Ctrl F5. Now close it. If you scroll up, you can find count of extension 399. I will remove like this. Instead of doing this, for auto reference extensions, we can say debug we make new line, then extension. Don't get confused. Extensions, this is plural. Extension, this is singular. Don't forget debug, talk, play, fun, and L. Please understand that we are in release build. Press Ctrl F5. Now close it. So we have 399 extensions on my machine. These are extensions sorted in alphabetical order. Now close it. In this file, press Ctrl F5 again. Close it. From this, we can find, for example, vertex, this extension. Copy. Here, we can use extension paste, enable. This extension preprocessor should come after version. Now press Ctrl F5. It works correctly. Okay, it works correctly. If you put it cut prior to version, it does not work. Ctrl F5. It does not work. Okay, this preprocessor extension should come after version. Now here we can conditionally code our shader like this. If this is defined, paste it here, else, and if we can code our shader using shader preprocessors like this. Press Ctrl F5. It works correctly. Also, in the final release, press Ctrl F5. Final release should also work. Now close it. In the debug build, it should also work. Now close it. In the debug build, you can get all kind of debugging message like this. Now close it. For more information about OpenGL extensions, please read this text. I used extension, enable, and these preprocessors